This is all unfolding better than I could have even scripted it out. The Denver Broncos, we get the Bo Nix news we had hoped for and really probably seemed like an absolute dream just a few months ago. We hear great news about Patrick Surtain. We hear even better reports about Bo Nix by a quarterback who chose to play with him over staying with a Super Bowl contender, that and so much more in this video. If you're new to the channel, we're just a couple days away from the big first game, the Denver Broncos going to Seattle. Make sure you subscribe to this channel and like this content so you keep hearing more great news about the Denver Broncos. I just saw flash across Twitter that the biggest bets in the entire NFL, there have been more bets on the Denver Broncos making the playoffs than any other team in football, and that is because I think anyone who actually follows this team actually sees what is happening, understands that the Denver Broncos are about to shock the world, and that 5-game win prediction is laughable at best. Let's dive into some awesome news. And that is that with the 12th overall pick in the NFL draft, the Denver Broncos didn't get the 6th best quarterback in the league. They didn't just have Bo Nix fall to him. They didn't get a guy who can't compete in the NFL. That Bo Nix's own teammates unanimously elected him to be captain of this team. And this is absolutely fantastic news as the Denver Broncos choose their captains. You know, I had hoped that Bo Nix would be the starter for the bulk of the year. And I was like, oh man, how cool would that be if Bo Nix was a starter for some of the year? No, he's the starter from day one. Sean Payton only needed to see 9 plays out of him in our second preseason game and sat him the entire third preseason game. We have the highest paid backup quarterback in the NFL, and it wasn't even close that Bo Nix was the dude, that Sean Payton saw that he was the dude. But the most important fact here is that Bo Nix's own teammates saw him as the dude. And if you take a look here, the keywords here, and remember that Sean Payton has his hands all over the messaging that comes out of Broncos country, and it wasn't that Bo Nix is a captain of this team. It is, as selected by the players, Bo Nix is the captain. And that, to me, just speaks absolute volumes that Bo Nix is the first quarterback to be a rookie starter at Auburn since whenever. He was the first rookie drafted to be named starter for the Denver Broncos in Game 1 since John Elway. And now he is the first rookie captain since way back till 1967. And that is absolute wild news. And absolute news that we should be losing our ever-loving minds over, and I totally am. And just taking a look at how this is a rebuilt team, not a rebuilding team, a rebuilt team, and taking a look here at all of our captains, how many of these are Sean Payton guys? And you take a look at Quinn Meinerz and George Paton guys, and his ability to find steals in the draft, and knowing that, hey, we're waiting on Bonito to pop off. Well, that's because he's been injured. We're waiting on Sanders to pop off. He's been injured. Payton, and I'm speaking here of George Paton, is an amazing drafter. And just taking a look that we got Quinn Meinerz, we just gave him the bag. We drafted him. We developed him. We found him. The rest of the league laughed at the Broncos for picking him. Remember, he had that workout video where he was moving trees and moving rocks. But we know who's laughing now, that our captain, one of the best guards in the NFL, plays for your Denver Broncos. The quarterback everyone laughed at and just thought the Broncos picked whoever was left. We know that wasn't true. Sean wanted him from the jump. 16 throws into his pro day. Sean Payton is popping out and calling the Walmart owner like, hey, this guy is perfect for my system. And then Pat Surtain, a guy that a lot of us probably were angry at immediately and thought, we should have ended up getting Justin Fields, right? And that is just simply not the case, right? That like a long time ago, we're like, oh, we should draft Justin Fields. And now we have the best corner in football as declared by his teammates and his contemporaries. And now he reset the cornerback market. We're going to get to that in just 1 second here. But I think it's phenomenal news about what the locker room thinks about Bo Nix. Obviously, we all have the hype. I have 2 Bo Nix jerseys already, and I've been a Bo-lever since we drafted him. But now it's awesome to see that his own teammates think that. And if you think about all of the first-round busts, Jamarcus Russell was not a team captain. You think of Paxton Lynch, and there were real concerns with him in training camp. We've only seen Bo Nix throw 1 interception when people have been there to watch it. Like, he is the real deal, and we're going to see on Sunday that he's the real deal. Obviously, all the talk about his maturity and his leadership skill is coming to fruition in his teammates choosing him to be a captain, and that just speaks absolute volumes and is awesome. Other great report that we're hearing is that we have this wide receiver core that is so talented that Tim Patrick, who Sean Payton was like, we just have too much talent to keep Patrick at this point. And Tim Patrick is going to be playing in the Lions opener against the Rams. Like you're going to watch him on Sunday. That wide receiver room is so loaded up in part because Josh Reynolds chose the Denver Broncos over a Super Bowl contender in the Detroit Lions. And make no qualms about it, they were not happy about it. Their GM wanted to keep Reynolds in Detroit, and he chose Sean Payton over picking who's that guy in the Applebee's commercial? Dan Campbell. He chose Sean Payton, and that's fantastic. And he was asked just yesterday about how Bo Nix's arm talent compares to other players other quarterbacks he's caught balls from, and he's been with the Rams and then also with the Detroit Lions. And here's what he said. He said, "You know what? He's got a beautiful arm, just like a lot of the guys that I've played with. He can put the ball wherever he wants. He can put it on a line. He can have touch. I mean, he's got an amazing arm, and I'm going to be excited to see how he continues to take charge of this offense." And so his teammates elected him, and now you're having wide receivers come out and be like, hey, the only question mark we have about Bo Nix is, does he have the arm talent? We know he's got the brain talent, and that's why Sean picked him. The question has been, can he fit the ball into tight spaces? Can he throw it on a rope? Can he do all that stuff? And now you're hearing a wide receiver who's played on a Super Bowl contender say, oh yeah, that's not even a concern. Other cool report that we heard out of here is just hearing about one of the reasons that Tim Patrick didn't make this team was because of Devon Vele. We've talked about him a lot. 6'4", ran a 4.4 40, massive frame, very comparable to a Marcus Colston, who also was selected in the 7th round. And Reynolds went on and sang Vele's praises, just his ability to manipulate a defense, his ability to make huge plays. The catch of all training camp was his left-handed Odell in the corner of the end zone. And I think we've seen Peyton hit on these draft classes, and we're going to continue to see it with Vele. The biggest news of the day is definitely that we have the best corner in football, and he reset the cornerback market. I think this is absolutely fantastic news for the Denver Broncos, as there had maybe been a narrative that we're hard on players and look at Sean Payton chewing out Russell Wilson. The fact that we have now signed 2 homegrown players to market-setting contracts shows our ability to take care of our own, and I think really instills upon all these guys moving into their contract year. Just off the top of my head, Javonte's on a contract year, drafted here. Cooper's on a contract year. Baron Browning's on a contract year. All 3 of those guys know, like, hey, if they put up the numbers and if they do what Sean wants them to do, we will take care of them. And I think that's fantastic news. And I think it's super smart that the Denver Broncos were able to get all this contract stuff out of the way. Unlike how Jerry Jones is handling this with the Dallas Cowboys, Pat Surtain doesn't have to worry about getting hurt. He just plays with reckless abandon now, knowing that he is taken care of. And we see this collision coming for the Dallas Cowboys, where they had a holdout all the way through camp, and CeeDee Lamb, holding out to the last possible second. We're seeing distractions with them needing to pay Micah Parsons and Dak Prescott and him. And I just love that the Broncos have taken the bulk of the Russell Wilson cap hit and made this work. And we knew this was going to happen because we have a brilliant front office, and now we have reset the cornerback market and did it at a perfect time, because next year, Sauce Gardner, and it sounds like the Jets are going to have a great year on defense. He's going to ramp it up even higher. And so it's amazing to see us get out in front of a couple of these cornerbacks who are coming up. I think we will see this kind of being the high point for corners this year, but then next year, when the cap goes up, that will go up even higher. And so had the Broncos kick the can down the road like the Cowboys or like the Bengals, we would end up having to pay him more. And so this is when you have the richest owner in sports, and cash is not, you need cash for signing bonuses and all of that kind of stuff. And that's where having the richest owner in sports truly pays off in such a major way. So it is impossible to look at this day, seeing Bo Nix being named as a captain, seeing 2 of our dudes who are homegrown here get paid and get the bag. It is an amazing day in Broncos country, which shows the ceiling is so high, and I cannot wait for Sunday. I got the fire up coming later in the week. We got a ton to look forward to, and even more to Bo leaving. This one is for Pat Surtain. Ah, it felt so good.